If you're an independent artist, you've probably had this experience. You spend months writing songs, you record them, you release them, maybe your friends tell you they're great, maybe a few people even stream them, and then nothing happens. No momentum, no audience growth, no meaningful income. It's just another release disappearing into the void. At that point, most artists start asking the wrong questions. They ask, well, how do I get more streams? Or what's the best social media platform? How do I get on playlists? Now, all these questions, they're not wrong, they're just not complete, because music careers don't succeed or fail based on any one thing. They succeed or fail based on a collection of things working together. And over the years, I've noticed that every successful artist gets a handful of these key things right, not perfectly, but consistently. And when an artist gets stuck, it's usually because one or more of these areas is being neglected. So in this video, I want to give you the framework I use. I'm just going to be very brief on all of these, but I'll go into more detail in other videos. But I just want to lay out the entire map here so that you get an idea of some of the things that need to be in place in order to really have a successful career. I call them the 11 pillars of a successful music career. Think of them as major components of the machine. If one breaks, the whole thing starts wobbling, kind of like spokes in a wheel. You know, if all the spokes are pretty much even length, you're going to have a nice round wheel that's going to roll nicely. If one or two of them are really weak, it's going to get a little wobbly. If they're all over the place, so you're not even going to be able to move. You're just going to fall over. It becomes almost impossible to progress at that point. So let's start with the foundation. I call this pillar 0. And it's called mindset. And I put this first at level 0 because it really permeates all the other ones. And really none of the others matter if you don't figure this out or if you actually quit, because that can certainly happen when you get discouraged or if you get too self-critical, that sort of thing. And let's be honest, the music industry has a remarkable ability for testing your patience. They change algorithms, songs may flop, people ignore things that you've worked incredibly hard on. And meanwhile, somebody records a song in their bathroom wearing a dinosaur costume and they get 10 million views. So what the hell? What's going on there? The lesson isn't that life's unfair. The lesson is that success usually belongs to the people who stay in the game long enough to get good at it. Consistency beats emotional roller coasters every time. So pillar 1 after pillar 0 is the product itself, the music itself, the songwriting, the arrangement, the performance, the production, the mix, the master, everything, all that stuff. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Great marketing is not going to fix weak music. It can create attention, but it can't create connection. If listeners aren't coming back, the first place you should look is at your product. Not because you're untalented, but because production quality matters a lot. Pillar 2 is branding. So branding is not your logo. It's not your font. It's not your color palette. Those things matter, but they're not the point. Branding is what people think and feel when your name comes up. It's your identity. It's your personality, your story. It's you. The reason people remember you instead of forgetting you 30 seconds later. Without branding, you're asking people to remember a song. With branding, you're actually giving them something bigger to connect with, bigger than any one song. You're giving them yourself, which is what you've been trying to sell all along, whether you knew it or not. All right, pillar 3. This is systems and consistency. Most artists rely on motivation, and that is a huge mistake. Motivation is wonderful, but it disappears without notice. And unfortunately, most artists stop when they're not inspired, when they're not motivated. Real artists, great songwriters write every day, whether they feel motivated or not. Great musicians practice every day, even when they don't feel inspired and motivated. That is the difference between a professional who succeeds and gets accelerated career growth and the millions of other musicians out there that just play for fun, but they're not really on an accelerated path. So systems are what keep you moving when inspiration decides to take a vacation. It's things like release schedules, content workflows, automation planning, all that stuff, the kind of stuff around your creative aspects that keep everything moving forward and held together. So the less energy you waste in trying to figure out what to do next because you have a plan, the more energy you actually have available to create. So it actually will accelerate you in ways that you didn't even think were possible. All right, pillar 4 is your online presence. This is where people find you, or fail to find you, depending on how good you are at it. This includes your website, your social media, streaming profiles, your content, perhaps on YouTube, Your online presence should make it easy for someone to discover who you are and what you do. You don't need to be everywhere, but you need to be somewhere consistently. So you need to pick an aisle and learn how to work it really well. Again, I'm being very broad here, but I'm going to go into more detail in later videos. Maybe some of them are already out, so you can take a look at those. But I'm moving on to pillar 5, distribution and release. A lot of artists think releasing music is just like uploading it to Spotify. That's not a release strategy. That's just a file transfer, honestly. Distribution is about creating opportunities for discovery. That means getting on playlists, doing collaborations with other artists, doing press releases, doing content videos, platform-specific strategies. The way you work TikTok is not the way you work Instagram, for example. The goal isn't simply releasing music. The goal is getting music in front of people who have never heard of you. Pillar 6 is audience development. This is where listeners become fans, and fans become supporters. An audience isn't a number, it's a relationship. An artist with 1,000 engaged fans is usually in a better position than the artist with 100,000 passive listeners. So people support artists they feel connected to. You need to build that connection, which means that building an audience is really about building trust. Pillar 7 is performance, because yes, live performance still matters a lot. Whether it's a club, a theater, live stream, house concert, this is where people experience you as a human being instead of just a collection of audio files. They get to know you. They get to trust you. A great performance can create a fan for life. Pillar 8 is monetization. This is the pillar nobody likes to talk about because musicians are often taught that caring about money somehow makes them less authentic, which is just nonsense. Money isn't the goal, but it is the fuel that keeps the engine running. Without revenue, opportunities become harder to pursue. Monetization isn't streaming, though. It's live shows, it's licensing, it's merch, it's memberships, services, direct fan support. Most artists today make money through multiple streams. They don't make money from selling CDs. They may make money from live shows, but that's mostly from doing merch. So a healthy career needs a healthy financial foundation. So you need to kind of get your mind wrapped around that somehow you're going to have to monetize this thing if you're going to have any longevity. Pillar 9, network and collaboration. This is where you actually get out there and talk to people and meet people. Music careers are built by people, not algorithms. Relationships matter. Other artists matter. Producers, engineers, venue owners, content creators, industry professionals. Opportunities come from conversations long before they come from credentials, meaning you don't have to be somebody at the time you start the relationship. That will develop down the road. The better your relationships, the larger those opportunities become down the road. Pillar 10, business and strategy. This is where everything comes together because not every artist wants the same thing. Some artists want to tour. Some artists want sync placements. Some want a side income. Some want a full-time career. The path changes depending on the destination. And without a strategy, it's really easy to stay busy while making very little progress, and activity and progress are not the same thing. The music industry is full of people proving that every day. So remember, I made that analogy about a wheel. And so here's the challenge. Each of those 11 pillars, I'd like for you to actually rate yourself 1 to 10 in every one of those pillars, being brutally honest. Most artists are going to have 1 or 2 pillars where they're really strong, and most of the rest are going to be pretty weak. That's normal. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness, because the pillar that's holding you back is rarely the one that you're currently obsessed with. Everything you ever wanted in life lives on the other side of fear. Don't let fear stop you. It's normal to be afraid or to be apprehensive of certain things or just to not want to do certain things, but don't let that stop you. That is probably where your opportunities lie. And it may come from unexpected places. A songwriter with incredible songs may have horrible branding, and maybe they just need to work on that. An artist with great branding, maybe they need better music. A performer with a great audience may need to figure out how to make money off that audience. They may need monetization. So remember, that next breakthrough you're looking for is usually hiding behind your weakest pillar, the one you've been avoiding all this time. So over the coming months, I'm going to be creating videos that dive deeply into every one of these areas. We'll talk about songwriting, we'll talk about production and branding, audience building, release strategies, monetization, and all the other pieces that contribute to a sustainable music career, because success in music isn't magic. It's not luck, and it's definitely not some secret algorithm hack. It's the result of getting enough things right long enough for momentum to start working in your favor. I used to believe that the odds were horribly against anybody in music being able to make a living at it. Now I'm pretty much convinced that it's almost inevitable if you do the right things consistently over a period of time. So find your weakest pillar. Start there. Once you get that worked out, everything else is going to get easier.